All right, rewatchers, it's been a minute. Welcome through that time portal. We've hit the rewind button and we are ready for our next retro rewatch. We are I am sorry that it has taken so long for us to get another video out there. This is one that we intended to put out before Halloween, and I think we're halfway through November or something.
Mhm.
I we kind of did a real like a short where I kind of mentioned that we really hadn't lost steam. I just kind of have hit a wall here on a few things. I nearly cut off three of my fingers, and they're actually still like super sensitive. It's kind of hard to type with. Excuse me. And then I got sick there for a little bit, and then we had the hurricane, and it has just been one thing after another where I really haven't had the free time to try and devote to this. So, but hopefully it looks like things are calming down a little bit. My fingers are healing up, although I wish they were more healed than they are. Because like I said, I mean it's almost like needles in my fingers. Like anytime they touch anything, they're super sensitive. So but we're on the right track, and hopefully we can get back going again and get back to normal.
Yeah, appreciate the update there. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast. We're going to get going here. Also, for all you fantasy football fans out there, a little joke here that Chris has been a little questionable, maybe a little doubtful, but he's back in the lineup.
Yeah, I was definitely doubtful there for a little bit. I was on the IR.
There we go. So we are talking about Late Night with the Devil 2023, more of a retro, even though it was made in 2023, but retro kind of 1970s, I believe, to a 1977 type setup, horror type movie with the director Cameron Cairnes. I believe I pronounced that. Looks like he's done some other movies. Anything you know about Cameron Cairnes, Chris? Before we jump right into it, Cameron Cairnes
Nope,
joke.
I
If I'm saying
really
his
I
name
really
right.
don't. I mean, for sure that works for me. It sounds like a good name. I mean, no, I don't know anything about him. Like a lot of times a director's got to make two movies I think are good before I start really kind of paying attention to them.
Yeah,
Especially newer directors.
yeah.
More so than like older directors and classical directors, whatever. But this guy, he would be in that category for me. This is the first thing that I've seen that he's made, which I thought was fantastic. But we'll get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Looks like
I'm
he's
looking at the
done
titles
Scare
now.
Campaign, 5.9 on IMDb back in 2016. Warren and Hal TV series, Bloody Acres, and
Is that a
and
Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh Bear thing or something? 100 Bloody Acres, the 100 Acre Wood.
this looks. I mean, this one looks like almost sounds like a Rob Zombie. Remember all that Thousand Corpses or
Yeah,
something?
this guy's Australian, isn't he? Or New Zealand, something like that. Somewhere from that part of the world. So I mean, some of these movies might be released just in like
Yeah,
Australia, New Zealand, that general area.
yeah,
So that might be why, because I don't even know any of those titles, you know.
yeah, yeah. And you're very knowledgeable too. So, but looking at it, we'll look at the block. We always like look at here, a little blockbuster, not blockbuster.
Now
We're not talking. We're not
this thing
talking
was a pretty
blockbuster video.
runaway hit, wasn't it?
Wasn't this like a Shutter joint for a little bit? Am I
So it
wrong?
is. I know it had a limited release. So it may not be like a Saw kind of thing where it was $1 million and made 100 million or something. But I think it has had some serious buzz. I know that a lot of streaming stuff, a lot of Shutter stuff. There's a few things that'll get released here and there, but I mean, this one's gotten like Blu-ray releases, 4K releases. It's been released all over the world. Like it's been
Yeah.
doing really well, at least on home video.
Yeah, it looks like a $10 million budget, which is, decent for a horror movie. And then it grossed a little over 15 million. So I'd say a modest hit. A little bit of opening weekend back in March 2024. Even though I think this got a lot of buzz in 2023, maybe at some of those festivals, right?
Yeah, so I mean, really, if you think about it, for the kind of release that this thing had, if it made 15, $16 million for the limited release this had, I would think that's probably really good. And
Yeah.
then for it to get the play that it's getting, like I said, in all the home video markets.
Exactly. And then, Chris, how about show us a little bit of that physical media that you always. Also, I watched this. Chris actually got me when he came and visited. He got me a copy of this, so I got to watch it in the old Blu-ray. So
Nice.
appreciate him.
Yeah. That's how you want to do it. So
Yeah.
like, so what we have here is an umbrella release. So again, another release from Australia, kind of like what we were talking about a minute ago. This is a really good release. I would highly, highly recommend this. It's got some good special features on it, some good behind the scenes and making of. I think it had some music stuff on it because it has a fairly unique soundtrack because it's kind of playing on that almost like a Ed Sullivan show or like a Johnny Carson or that late night thing, from around that time. But one thing that's super awesome about this, then this is the only release you can get it on, is they've got what's called the Night Owls broadcast cut.
Mm,
And what's that is not trying to get too many spoilers just yet, but the movie is made basically kind of like a found footage thing where you're watching the show, but you see a lot of behind the scenes too. Like anytime they cut to a commercial break, anytime something like that happens, they go behind the scenes and there's stuff that you find out like, hey, this character died on the way to the hospital or stuff like that, and all that stuff's been cut out for the broadcast cut. But there's other things in between the commercial breaks where they have kind of like white noise and some other stuff where there's interesting things that happen in between the commercial breaks, and it also gives you a different perspective on the movie when you don't see that background stuff and all you see is what the broadcast would have been.
mm,
You understand what I'm saying? So that is a really, really neat cut of the film. There is a second sight, a UK company that has put out a 4K limited edition box set of this. I've ordered it and it should be out, but it hasn't been shipped to me yet, which is coming from the UK. So it might take a little bit, but that's one that maybe I'll do like a short on or something like Magic Movie Memorabilia Tour when it gets here, because I think that'll be a neat release to show up. It'll have a book that comes with it, kind of like the Conan had. You know
right,
what I'm saying? But anyway, that's why I have this physical media though, because even on the second site, it won't have the Night Owls cut.
right. Well, you want me to jump right in? I'll give my thoughts of it. Might be a little
Yeah,
differing here. All
yeah.
right, so watch this with my girlfriend. She was being really respectful. She's not really being in horror movies, but she's always like, I'll watch some with you during October for Halloween. He's like, all right, I appreciate that. Even though this might have been late September. Anyway, we put this no, it was October. So we put this on and I heard some good buzz about it. And then Cody Leach, big YouTuber, talked really good about it. And, I had some good buzz. So first off, I'd say 70s retro feel, the way they filmed it, really impressive. I thought it was cool. Opening monologue was really cool. The way they kind of set it up in a spooky type feel. Love the
Late night
themes.
with the devil.
That's right. It was pretty cool. So it is good in the way they break down, and it's a lot of deep meaning. And I remember Chris texted me where he's like, "Hey, you gotta really pay attention to it." And I was pretty much fully engaged in watching it, but maybe missed, as we'll break into it, the Grove, and Chris can dive deep into that because maybe I missed it or we got a little lost. And then the whole thing of they would do anything for ratings is interesting back then, and it was it being set in 1977. Also wanted
During
to
sweeps
share.
week. That was
That's
that's a big deal that it was set,
yeah,
and that was actually real.
yeah,
That week, that really would have been sweeps week back in
yeah,
'77 whenever they
yeah.
set the movie. So that was another really good like attention to detail thing that they did. Very impressive.
Yeah, I was going to read that the director Colin Cairnes explained, this is on according to IMDb, the reason for the film being set in 1977. The film had to happen on a Monday night for sweeps week, so the stakes are high, and this is the beginning of the week. This is going to make or break Jack Delroy's career, right? And it just so happened that 1977 was the only year in the 1970s where Halloween fell on a Monday night. So we thought 1977 is pretty much, you're right in the thick of it. So that worked for us.
Yeah,
Also, I would say the positives again were the acting was great.
yeah.
David, how you pronounce his name? Dash
The guy's, I don't know, the guy that's the main character.
yeah,
He's kind of been kind of a side character in a lot of movies. A lot of movies,
yeah,
he's kind of a goofy guy. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But I thought, I mean, he killed it as Jack
he did.
Delroy in this thing. He just became Jack Delroy. He was excellent. I mean,
It
because
was.
really, Jack Delroy he has a lot of arcs. He does have times where he's being that that goofy kind of post, and there's other times he's very somber and he's very introspective. There's times
Mhm.
whenever the stuff with his wife, I mean, you can tell he's really crushed. Like, I mean, he covers every emotion so well. And I mean,
He does.
pinpoints it. I mean, and he goes from one to the other in the flip of a switch. And I mean, he takes control. Like, there's times of the show where it's getting out of hand with like Karn or the guy that's the debunker, like where he takes control back of like, hey, it's time for you to shut up. Like he did great. I mean, he pulled it all off, like, I mean, just exquisitely.
Yeah.
But and I mean, I think they wrote the role for him.
Mhm.
And I gotta be honest, like the director, like I want to see what this guy does from here on. Cause like I said, I didn't know anything he's done, but I think from here out, like, I gotta be honest, he's not the actor I would have thought of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But apparently this guy saw something and I mean wrote the role for him. And I mean just absolutely killed it.
Yeah, he did. That definitely was a positive and it stood out. I mean, I mean, he might even be, I don't know if he would be Oscar worthy, but maybe in some of these smaller awards, maybe get nominated for it
I would
just
think,
from his
yeah.
performance.
I mean, if Pearl showed us anything, the Oscars like just completely disregard horror. I mean, it's unfortunate because I mean, Mia Goth should have won an Oscar for lead actress for Pearl. Like I think that's the greatest performance by a female I've ever seen. There that 9-minute monologue she gives near the end of Pearl is just, I mean, my gosh, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Right. Yeah, she is great in those three. Looks like he's going to be, speaking of that, Rosario he's going to be in that, and it looks like a horror type, and he's the star in it, so you might be getting your wish coming up in 2025.
What is it?
Rosario spends the night with her grandmother's body while she awaits for the ambulance to arrive. During a severe snowfall, Rosaria is attacked by an otherworldly
Is this
entities that have taken control of her grandmother's body. And the Scotty boy
so?
David Dashameshlin, I'm butchering his name, but anyway, that's coming up 2025 and it's horror, so I have to check that out with him. You were just talking
Yeah,
about it.
cool.
So really great acting performance, but where it lost me is and I kind of always knew from maybe the trailer, like, all right, about halfway through this, shit's gonna hit the fan. So I will say it was kind of I was maybe looking for it to be a little more spookier because I was thinking horror. And I will say the girl when she looked possessed and she came on set was pretty spooky. And then kind of the Spanish was it the Spanish Latina guy that was supposedly a psychic or whatever, and he kind of started spitting up everything. That was kind of spooky, kind of crazy. But I guess just the whole, and I know maybe I was lost because I didn't get the whole Grove, and you can actually explain that is I kind of missed everything. And I remember you said it's very, very deep, and it kind of just ended. And my girlfriend, she was just like, man, what was that? I kind of want my 90 minutes of my life back.
Dang, it
Well,
definitely wasn't that bad now.
I know she said that she's usually a good trooper, but yeah, I mean I've seen like worse, but I guess I was a little disappointed. But I had to cheat and go back because I was like, all right, let me give it a chance. That
You see that?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a pretty freaky looking possession right there. I'm
It
just
it
saying.
it was. That's what I'm saying. That part was pretty spooky. But I had to go and watch the ending explain, which is a really good breakdown, and it tied everything back to the Grove and everything and the meaning, and it's a whole lot deeper meaning. So I kind of respected it more. But I
Yeah.
definitely might be one of these like one and done, or if I just really needed something to watch, rewatch it again. But I respect from what it was, but I'll say a one and done for me. But definitely original in its genre for what it was, for a current 2023 current horror film to be different.
So I really feel like you ought to watch it again. Like I think you'll get a lot more out of it the second time, and we'll go over
Mm,
some of that here in a minute.
yeah.
Um, because well, first thing is like, I mean, and don't Noelia, if you watch this, please don't take this the wrong way. Do you think you had some stuff maybe lost in translation for her because she's not,
Yeah.
English her first language? So
No, I
because
think
there
it was one.
is some
I,
highly detailed stuff that if you miss it, like, yeah,
yeah.
I could see where it could be confusing.
It wasn't. I think she might have not been maybe all fully engaged. She watched most of it, but she did have she does that sometimes. She'll have her laptop just to kind of be present with me. So I will say that. And then when we watched the ending explained on YouTube, we were like, oh, we didn't really see that. So maybe it's something we missed, the Grove part, which is a big thing. And I did go back to, you did say, Trey, you got to really pay attention to it because it is deep inner meaning. But anyway,
Yeah. So can you see this?
yeah, dude, it's a good breakdown.
All right. So this is the Grove here. So like,
Mhm.
first things first. All right. So I've got a different opinion in the movie than you do at this point,
Yeah.
I think. So
Mhm.
you're thinking it's not great. It's okay. It was a one watcher, whatever. Like
Mhm.
I've already seen this thing twice, and I'm going to watch it a third time for sure whenever I get my second sight
Oh.
4K in. So I mean, this to me, this was it was a fantastic movie. Now, first things first, I really like found footage movies. And
Yeah.
this is essentially a found footage movie. It's presented as if it was real, as
Mhm.
if it happened at a certain point in time, and as if, what we are watching really happened. Okay. So all those fit the found footage. Now, a lot of found footage also has shaky cam. This does not have that because it's made like a TV show. I like that better because I am not a big fan of shaky cam. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Kind of like Blair Witch Project or something like that. But
Yeah.
with the Grove, let's talk about this. We just had some pictures of it that I showed.
Mhm.
So Anton LaVey is the man who is credited with starting the Church of Satan in America. Okay, like
Mhm.
the legitimate Church of Satan. Okay, it was out in California, San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. He's actually been in like a movie or two that was, and when I say a movie or two, I'm talking about like legitimate for real, like Hollywood movies with like Vincent Price or Christopher Lee or something like that. Okay. And he has had a compound that is very similar to the Grove, and it may actually even be called the Grove. I'm not sure. But here's what's crazy about this. Okay. Like in reality, there have been three presidents that have been a part of this. There have been numerous politicians, movie stars, and a lot of them you don't necessarily know who they are. Like, I mean, but there are people, I think Sammy Davis Jr. was one. Like, I mean, people that you just wouldn't even imagine. You understand what
Well,
I'm saying? So, like, to start the movie with that voiceover for like 6, 7, 8 minutes talking about the Grove is super important. And we go back to Rosemary's Baby. We've talked about this a couple times on the
yeah.
channel now. So, but with Rosemary's Baby, you've got this concept with Rosemary's husband making a deal with the devil essentially through the old couple, like to progress his career to become a successful actor. And the trade is you get my baby, right? And the baby is the son of Satan. It's like the legitimate for real antichrist. Okay. You have a similar thing happening here. And you don't know it at the first of the movie. You just have to listen and understand what they're talking about with the Grove and with the Anton LaVey character. Like I can't remember what the character's name was. It was like a Braxis or something like that. I think it was a Braxis. And anyway, so but that's where you start to get the suggestions that the host of Late Night with the Devil, which of course is Night Owls, that's the name of the show. What is his name again? Like you said it a minute ago, and it escaped me right when I needed it. The host, Delroy, Jack
Jake,
Delroy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jack Delroy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Delroy. So you start to
Mhm.
get the suggestions that we've got a similar thing going on. He has become a part of this like Satanistic group, you know what I'm saying, that is not necessary. It's more than meets the eye. It's a little more serious than that. And they start to talk about all these like spiritual and otherworldly things that are happening. You see, like there was the guy that was dressed in the owl suit that was in the nest, and then you've got the big owl like iconography, and then you've got the show. What's the show called? Night
Night
Owls,
Owls. Yeah.
right? So you've got all this illusion, this just kind of run through the show. So you've got the Grove with the owl iconography, which we are getting the association that it's satanic, and then you've got the show that's the Night Owls as well. Okay. And then you've got the story with his wife. Okay. His wife they had been dating since they were young. They were in deep love. And then she got cancer and then she died and all this other stuff. Well, you can start to piece together, like if you understand the background of the Grove and what they were getting at with the Grove and Anton LaVey and all this other stuff, that she might have been a sacrifice because she was young
Hmm.
and there was no reason for her to have had the disease that she had. Now, of course, we just lost Ryan at 42 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's not that someone young can't get cancer, but when you put all the pieces together of what they're, alluding to, it paints a different picture.
Mm.
Okay. And Jack Delroy is essentially willing to sell his soul to be number one, to be better than Carson, to be, the number one on TV. And the lump sum at the end of the show, that's what he gets. It's the number one show of all time, whenever everybody's like, um, when everybody's tuning in and seeing what's going on with the show. Um, and another thing that's really interesting about it too, and off the top of my head, I can only think of one other movie that's done this, but this movie has both a haunting and a possession.
Mm.
So you've got
Yeah.
the girl who is possessed by Mr. Wriggles, which is very similar to Captain Howdy from The Exorcist.
Mm.
Okay. And by the end of it, there is a lot of ambiguity for a while of, is she really possessed, or is it something else? Is it a split
Mm.
personality? And then you've got the part at the end with the hypnotism, where everybody sees like the worm coming out of the guy's throat and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was a phenomenal concept of
Mm.
like, man, okay, well, man, maybe we were really all tricked. You know what I'm saying? But then they go back to review the tape and they see the trick whenever Karn is doing his hypnosis and all that stuff, but then they go back to the possession and she's really possessed. That was where I took the picture from with the face, was whenever they were reviewing it. Okay.
Mm.
And then past that, now you've also got the haunting, which is his wife. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which, really in a lot of ways almost feels like, she's a pissed off ghost that's getting ready to serve him up to the devil as recompense for, you want to be famous? We got you. We're fixing to be famous. All right. But did you see all the little details that they had? Did you like, how many times, how many times did you see her throughout the movie?
There's
And
a
when I say that, I mean as a ghost. How many times did you see her as a ghost?
like a handful of times, wasn't it? Two, three times, or
Well, I'm asking you, like,
yeah,
how many times did you see it?
three. Yeah, I mean three, four times maybe.
Okay. So this is where I get really nerdy and like really,
Yeah,
really, really love this kind of stuff. All right. And
yeah,
just
there you go.
like bear with me here on this, because I'm
Right.
going to have a real string of photos here. Now, this is the Night Owls version that I was telling you about on the Blu-ray. And you can see what they've done is they've set up the episode as if it was a archived episode at the Library of the Grove. Okay, so this is from the actual, like, basically the compound. This isn't from like your local library. Okay, and let's see here. Let's see if I can move. There we go. So then this videotape and the recording herein remain property of the Grove and may only be viewed on club premises with written permission from the Feather Man, which I'm assuming is the owl guy that was
Mhm.
in the nest, and the Board of Mass. Any member found attempting to remove, disclose, copy, or modify this material shall face disciplinary measures followed by summary expulsion from the club. If a non-member is known to have viewed this material, please advise the board immediately. I think that's all really, really, really cool, because again, that's going to play into the fact that this is like for really real. This is important enough that this is like, you know, this is, I don't even know exactly how to put it into words, almost like Scientology or something. Like, this is secret, and this is our proof that our God is real and what we are worshiping is real. You know what I'm saying? And I just thought that was really neat. This is
Mhm.
our proof. This is one of our artifacts that we are going to keep. So anytime you see flickering like this, it's always a sign to you that something is either happening or it's fixing to happen every single time.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you have after that, do you see her? Can you
Yeah,
see her in the shot?
Sarah to the left. Yeah.
Yep. She's right here.
Mhm.
So that's his wife. And so like you had the flicker, and then, so there's one, and I got it just a little closer there where you can see her for sure. You remember I told you a little while ago that during the commercial breaks, you would have stuff like in the white noise and the color bars that would kind of pop up.
Hmm. Oh.
And so this is almost like, so this is the Grove, right? This pops up during the first commercial break. And what I feel like this is telling us is that while the show is going on, they are actually doing almost like a seance or
Mm.
something, maybe a conjuring or something along those lines, which, by the way, I had said earlier that this movie had both a possession and a haunting, and
Mm.
only one movie I could think of off the top of my head that had that. It was The Conjuring. The Conjuring
I
also
ju-
had
we just watched that on
hauntings
Halloween too. So yeah,
and
that was
possession, because
correct.
at the end of it, the wife gets possessed, but for a long time, you've just got the haunting. How did she like the haunting? Because that movie's no joke.
She like actually out of so back to what she was a good trooper this Halloween. She watched here's one's Noelle, my girlfriend. So watched Insidious, watched
That's a good one.
Sinister 2,
I
watched
hadn't seen that one.
Lifetime or watched this Late Night with the Devil, watched Talk to Me, which I actually kind of like,
That's really good. Talk to Me is
and
really
then
good.
watched Conjuring. And I think out of was like, all right, if you had to pick one anyway, she like probably like the Conjuring out of all those, which I thought was a good choice. First time watches for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She would probably say this one is her least. She didn't like
Well,
Talk to Me either for some reason. She's like, oh, what was that? So anyway, just being
so
honest.
I will concur that this movie's not, to me, it wasn't particularly scary except for a part or
Yeah.
two where it kind of sort of had a jump scare. But the
Yeah.
overall, the concept, the execution, the special effects, like I thought everything in this was so good. This is another color bar, and his wife showed up for one frame there. And all of these pictures that I'm showing you are stuff that I noticed. This was not me going anywhere, but I mean, you know me, you've watched movies with me. My eyes are fast, and I take a lot in. But look at this right here. Do you see his wife there?
Oh yeah. In the little mirror there screen.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, in the mirror down there.
Well, I missed a lot of that. I would have missed that one too.
What about this? That one to me was freaky. Like I had to hit rewind on that one because I saw her turn her head and then you saw a face in her hair, because right after this is when she kind of turns back and starts the possession. You understand what I'm saying? And there you go, the picture that we showed earlier. And then, of course, this is the one that everybody saw. You know what I'm saying? This is the one they set up like whenever they were reviewing the tape. And oh my gosh, there's somebody there. And then you've got the hand on his shoulder, which I got to be honest, like if you look really close at that, that's like a CGI hand. And I know, like when I was watching this, that really kind of like I almost had like my blood run cold whenever like it flipped from the tape to like showing him and that hand was there. It was just like it's a very unnatural hand. You know what I'm saying? It really kind of made my blood run cold for a second. Like, oh God, just kind of thinking about that and like being touched by the ghost and being held or whatever, you
Right.
know. And then near the end, it's like where she's burning into the tape. And then look at that. So
Oh,
in both versions, in the white noise, there's almost like a devil that's in the white noise that if you watch close, I mean, it just kind of passes through and it's very quick, but it's there. So it is done. So the sacrifice has been completed. So all of that was from the Night Owls version. I'm actually going to share with you too. The version, the Late Night with the Devil, the one that everybody would have seen. So we've already looked at some of the we've already looked at some of the Grove stuff, and we talked about his wife and how important that was that she had cancer.
mhm.
Um, but Abraxas, there you go. Look at that. So you got the UBC movie of the week again, talking about details. So they've got the movie of the week is Hell Abraxas, and kind of like how out in Waco you had what was the name of that cult that was out in Waco that
Christianer,
the
Chris, start with a C maybe?
yeah, I think you're
David
right.
Crenner, David something like that.
Yeah, David Koresh.
Yeah,
David
David
Koresh.
Crash. Yeah.
And so anyway, the in this movie, you had their compound getting burned down, which was actually real footage of a compound getting burned down by the police. However, it wasn't Abraxas clearly, but they were using that as an illusion to try and draw that same correlation. And um, and I love this television made me do it. Confesses Son of Sam,
Mm.
who was actually a real serial killer in the 70s. And them being able to set this like during actual Halloween, there was, and see, there's another white noise right there with the face in it. That's a different point
Yeah.
It is not the same one as the one I showed you a minute ago, but I did love like that. There was a skeleton out in the audience that seemed like they kept showing over and
I was
over
going to
again.
mention that. Yeah.
And I really expected that to like wind up meaning something, but unless I missed it, it never did. It just wound up being, I guess, an iconic costume that you could recognize pretty quickly. But if you look,
I thought the skeleton man was the devil, was Satan,
I
was Satan.
I mean, maybe I don't know that I mean, he never. I don't know.
That's where I
Possibly.
got no, what is it? The Sabian? No, that's got to be Satan in my notes. Anyway, Satan was brought up by the ending. One of the ending explained is the guy that did the review thought that the skeleton man was a form of Satan.
Well, I mean, that what I mean, because he was quiet and I mean, he was always silent and was just kind
It
of
was.
there. But do you see his wife in this frame?
Is that the back shoulder? Maybe over here, the back shoulder.
So this is actually a
Yeah,
person, like a
yeah,
producer or something like that. It's
yeah.
right here in the TV.
Oh wow, okay, I would have missed that.
And see, it's right. I got you a closer up picture
Yeah,
where
there
you
it
can
is.
see
Yeah,
it there.
wow. And she
There
showed
she
up
is right
a
there.
lot of cameos, man. I
You
thought he
see
did
her
a
in
great
this.
job acting. He was good.
Yeah, he did this. And seeing he's based off a real person too. Like back during the Warrens, again, talking about the Conjuring, there was a guy that would just constantly follow them around wherever they went, to the Amityville house.
Mm.
And he would try and debunk everything that they would talk about. And that's what this character was that guy. But do you see his wife in this picture
Oh yeah, down at TV.
in the TV?
That's right.
Yeah, I zoomed it
Wow.
up a little bit. So, like, I mean, she showed up a lot. And I mean, I got the attention to detail that this movie had. I mean, just nerded
Yeah.
me out. Like, I mean,
Mm.
I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved
Yeah.
how they balanced the possession. I loved how they balanced the haunting. And I mean, in the setting that they were in was so unique. And then for it to have the consequences and for everything just go back crap crazy for the last 10 minutes the way it did, I don't know. I loved it. I thought they just did a phenomenal job. And like I said, I've already seen it. I've seen it two or three times. I've seen it at least twice, and I will absolutely watch it again whenever my 4K comes in. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie, and I think that
Maybe I'll give it another rewatch,
yeah,
possibly.
there you go. Give it a retro rewatch in 10 years or something.
Yeah.
But and I mean, I'm not trying to have your opinion. I'm not trying to down your opinion at all.
Yeah.
But that these are the reasons that I really liked it though, and I
Right.
feel like it is worth a viewing.
Right. Another interesting thing here, just looking at the trivia, this is according to IMDb. The movie made, if this is true, the movie made $666,666, 6666666 on Sunday, March 24th at the box office, according to the distributor. In all likelihood, it wasn't a coincidence, as box office figures can be manipulated by around 5% by the distributor to compensate for receipts not tracked by Rent Track. So that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So in all likelihood, whoever, the producers of the movie Lionsgate or whoever is it Lionsgate that distributed this? I think it is.
Maybe
I mean, this is going to be Umbrella, which I mean, Spooky Pictures is who like released it for this release. Um,
it's a good name,
Future
Spooky Pictures.
Pictures. Yeah. Which I mean, clearly Umbrella is, who did the physical distribution, but
Mhm.
like I said, I think the guy is Australian. So I mean, that's come up several times on the channel too. I love my Australian stuff. I love getting my stuff from
Yeah,
Australia and getting, unique movies from over the pond.
it's based in New York too, and I was reading and it was I think Melbourne, Australia is where they filmed it. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I thought it was a good review on kind of closing out the Halloween series.
Yeah, I wish we could have actually got it in before Halloween because with it being set on Halloween, I think that would have been fantastic if we could have released it on Halloween. But oh well, it just didn't really work out. I mean,
Yeah.
at least we can have late night with retro rewatch.
There you go. We'll get maybe Chris with a late night rewatch, rewatch or
A
hot
hot
watch.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
All right. Well, if we hit the end of the tape,
Yes, sir. We did. We're gonna work on having some other upcoming maybe we'll do some holiday themed
yeah.
movies.
Yeah, like
coming up.
Violent Night and Die Hard,
There it is. Hey, for all these horror people, maybe check out
Gremlins.
the newer Thanksgiving. What was that, last year, 2022? It actually wasn't bad. Eli
Eli
Roth
Roth.
joint.
I haven't
Yeah,
watched it yet. So like
you
that'd be a
should.
good one. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Although
right.
we might need to get back to more of the retro. We've actually been kind of focusing on the new here for a little bit.
Exactly. That's right. Well, I appreciate everyone sticking around and make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast. And as always, be kind, rewind.